The opening psukim in the Seder of Tetzei, this week's parasha, describe a scenario that until 1948, perhaps a little bit before, most Jews hadn't ever experienced. Tetzei la milchama, you're going out to war. You're going out to war as a Jewish army in a Jewish country to defend your people. Simply a reality that seemed distant memory, maybe perhaps evoking stories in the Tanakh of David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech. But Tetzei la milchama, you're going out to war. And the Torah describes the behavior and the conduct of the soldiers. Last week we discovered who is exempt from war, and this week the Torah takes it a stage further and talks about the behavior of the Jewish people when they go out to war. But the rabbis have a premise that the Torah speaks to us in every single generation. So what was that? What was it saying to us over the long years of exile, when we didn't have a Jewish army, when going out to war was something that just simply wasn't part of our lives or our experience at all? Tetzei la milchama, you're going out to war. If you were too scared, you wouldn't be going anywhere. So there's first a movement shift. The person could be stationary, could be stable, but they're going out. And what's the war? The war is the continual war. The war that we always struggle with. Not a war against an enemy, of an external human enemy, but the Yetzer Hara. Any type of battle where we're in the moment, we're struggling with morality, with ethics, with halacha. That is the constant war that people who are religiously sensitive are always fighting. And it occurred to me there are a number of fascinating points in their line of thinking. Number one is this idea of going out to war. If you just stay in bed, you think, you know what, the halacha is so overwhelming, I can't achieve anything. It's too scary to live in the real world, so I'm just going to be a recluse and hide. That way, okay, I may not do anything positive, but I'm certainly not going to break any rules by just distancing myself. That's not what the Torah wants us to do at all. We need to go out. We need to go on journeys. We need to be part of the world. And yes, that's when the battle comes. That's when we might be tempted to compromise on kashrut, to compromise on our tefillah every day, to compromise on standards, because we're suddenly exposed to a culture that's so different from our own. But you have to go out. Number one. Number two, milchama, there will be a war. There will always be a battle. And that's something that we have to recognize. When Yaakov fights with the angel, he's called Yisrael. Why? Because he fought and he overcame. Religious life isn't going to be a simple flat line where everything is simple. There will always be that struggle. That's part of what it is to be Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, struggling all the time with ourselves, with Hashem, with doing the right thing. So the rabbis were aware that there were battles we're always fighting. Don't be scared to fight those battles. That was last week's parasha. This week we have to be bold. We're going to go out into the world and do our thing and live life and make Judaism relevant. To be able to take a law that seemed archaic, but going to a war as part of an army, and find modern relevance suggests a final message that we must continually search for meaning in the Torah. Even when the details seem to be beyond the scope of our life today, how can we take that pasuk and make it relevant? And that's exactly what the rabbis did when they speak about the milchama as being the battle of the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Hatov, going out, being dynamic. And I wish everybody in the war against ourselves, ultimately, we'd be brave, we'd be strong, we don't try and exempt ourselves like last week. We fight this war with the help of Hashem. We will be successful. Shabbat Shalom. And as we're in the month of Elul, K'tiva v'chatima tova to everyone.